Yes, now this is time for to look into this dynamic Undertow load balancing in the domain mode. So as we see, this is the standalone mode, and now I'm going to show you the domain mode. Make sure before this, please watch this before the session in the standalone mode Undertow load balancer implementation in the dynamic way in the standalone. Then we will now also look into the domain mode. It's a configuration point of view is all look same, whereas there is a small difference in the load balancer. Again, remains same all the configurations. So again, we will continue the same configuration which we made for the standalone. So here I have a, so this server is a load balancer and locating in 192.168.56.101, and make sure this is running on port is 8080 HTTP, and make sure, and this is going to call as an Undertow. Undertow load balancer this is. Let's back to this backend JBoss server. So here, so I will going to make one big this is my master, and one more is a slave. So just one master and one slave I will go with. So this is a way, and here there are some details I'm going to write, and this as a master JBoss server WILDFly, and this is master. And make sure here the ports are there, some important here. What I'll do is I will make one server in the master, and I will make one more server in the slave box. So how it look like? So in this master is running in a normal port. So I will going to mention what the mandatory things were as part of this to work with this load balancing Undertow. So here again same thing, master. So I will going to make one JVM here. So JVM means the one server. Okay. So I will make as a server one. So this is the master. It contains some one server one, and this is a slave box, and this slave I will going to make a JVM one as a server 2. So we have two servers. One is located in the master, and moreover I need to mention this IP address, and master is running 192.168.56.02 is the master IP address. Similarly, the slave is IP address 192.168.56.103 is the slave box. But again, there is a, this is a very simple thing. One master is connected to the slave, so this way it will work. The slave will going to connect to the master successfully, and we will going to create a one server, server 1 in the master and server 2 inside the slave box, and 103 IP address. So this is cool, but here how do you going to attach to this to the load balancer? And make sure here, so what I'm going to do is server 1 I will going to attach, this is a small group called G1. It is a simple group, and this G1 I am going to make it into HA profile. So why I choose a HA profile here is the server 1 is belongs to HA profile, like a standalone how we made it, because the HA profile contains Undertow and the model cluster the con stuff. So that's the reason I'm going to make this is now with exactly pointed to the HA profiles, and HA profiles, and this HA profile is inside a domain.xml file. So there is a one section, a domain.xml file, we have a profile. So this is much cool. And here the server 2, so is also I'm going to make it a different group, but doesn't matter. So let me make it this also be a G1. So I want to point this instead of writing here, let me make it with an arrow mark. This is server 2 also is going to belong to same G1 group. So server 1 and server 2 all belongs to G1 group, because the G1 is belongs to HA profile. So that's the means, because now we have to do the configurations exactly inside the HA profile only. So one time configurations, so whatever servers are connected to that group, that profile, so then it will going to connect to the load balancer. Now in the HA profile, so exactly what we are going to do. So if I see that, so I will going to inside the HA profile. So HA profile, so exactly in the domain, inside the domain.xml HA profile, I'm going to add inside HA profile what is my load balancer IP, load balancer IP and port. So that's it. One time inside HA profile I'm going to add a load balancer IP and port. So whatever servers you are going to create and point to the G1 group, and that is using HA by default. So all servers are pointed to by default. At the end, this is server 1 is going to be connected to the load balancer, and here the server 2 is connected to the load balancer. So that way it is going to work. And at runtime, if you create any other more servers, it's automatically going to connect without doing any other modification, because the domain mode is a one-time job, one-time configurations of the profile, because all my servers are pointed to that profile. So let's see this much, and then we'll come back, and let me show you. This is As part of the standalone mode, what we've done the changes, standalone configurations. So in this load balancer, I'm going to start with the standalone mode only, standalone.hi.xml. If you see Undertow, and in this Undertow again the same stuff, what we added, the smart cluster, and the one is a filter. This is already as a standalone mode what the changes we done, so we are continuing with the same changes. There is no changes in this load balancer, right? So now the changes will be in the domain mode only. So let's start with the first standalone, the bin directory. So I'm going to start with the load balancer first, standalone.ss-c standalone hi.xml. So I'm going to start this load balancer over here. So this is done, and let's back to this one more server 2, and this is the master, going to act as a master, the first server. So and opt WILDFly. So here it is a domain. So inside the configurations, inside the domain configurations. So let me change this IP 192.168. So localhost, I'm going to change this 0.0.1 192.168 56.01. So this is 102 box. So I will change in all over XML. So just change the IP address. So now I'm going to start the master. So how do you start the master? So domain.sh. So when I start like this, and host config. So by default I don't want to make any servers in the master. Host master.xml, master.xml, host config. Host config is equal to host master.xml. So by default it is going to start. It's a very simple. It doesn't contains any servers. The first meaning of it. So later we're going to create on this. And remember, see that. Okay, so it is going to be started successfully. And what next? Let's go to the slave box. Before going to the slave box, let me create a one user. I think nothing is created in this bin directory. So I'm going to create so two users. One is for the admin console, one is for to connect the slave to the master. So master user, and here this is jboss admin. So this is for admin console, to log in and admin console and trying to show you something. And you just give you password and default, all correct information, and this is not required. You can make it as a no. And I'm going to create one more user. This is user will going to help you to connect a slave to the master. So this means this is a and slave one. This is a user, slave one, and this is a password. Enter. All informations are right. At the end, this is important. Slave connect to this is a master. Make sure if you want to make this, you should make sure give it an S. It is going to generate the secret value. So this is what the important. So as part of this, so I will copy this and go back to the slave jboss server. So here, and WILDFly domain and the configuration. So here also in the slave box also I want to change localhost with localhost with my IP address. So 192.168.56.103 is the box, slave box start.xml. So the slave changes also be done. And here there is a major change inside the host slave.xml. In the slave box, I will going to connect to this master. The slave should connect to the master. Make sure I should give this name as a slave one, because this is the same user which we created. Slave one is the user I created, and the secret value here already there is a secret value exists. So here I will not going to use this. Let's remove this stuff. I will going to copy the slave one secret value over here. Okay, so this is where you can remove this, not required. That's it, nothing more else required. You can hard code over here if you want this master. Here it is. Okay, so we'll see that. We will pass for the command line. So now it's done. The master, we created a users, and I'm in the slave box. I'm going to start my slave. How to do this? Do the domain.sh host config. So I will give this configuration file host slave.xml file. In this we already done the user we configured and secret value we done it. So if when you start this, it will going to throw an error saying that I cannot able to find the master. So make sure while you're trying to start the slave, we need to give this a master where it is located exactly. So here is the error. So -d. So this is a parameter. This parameter exists inside host slave.xml file. And where is my master located? 192.168.56.102. This is my master IP address. So when you try this, by default it didn't work because master is already started. A slave box is going to connect to the master, but it will not going to connect by default. So it will say no route to host, and they can see that could not connect it to the master. So master is running on this exactly, but it is unable to connect. So let's see Control C. So what we have to do is go to the master, and we started JBoss already. So make sure master slave is connected to the master what port firewall CMD list all. So if you see what ports are there, there are some couple of ports. This is we done it for the UDP clustering. Let's keep it the same. As part of this, we done some 8009 because this is also be required, because in this we are going to one server master Linux box, one server that will help you to connect to the slave. But here slave connected to the master. For that, in the master we need to add one extra port, permanent add port. So here what port is, means the slave is going to connect it to the master is 9999 firewall CMD and the reload. So that's it. There is a single port. I just where my master is running and done. While starting a slave box, let me execute now the slave. Let's see this moment that is going to connect or not. If it is connected, then we are not going to have any errors over here. It will going to give us single line saying that some slave one is connected. I think again there is a same problem. Could not connect to the remote host. Okay, no route to host exception. Okay, slave is at all not connecting to the master. Okay. Yes. 9990 is 1. That's good. Okay, so that's not required anyhow. For the admin console we need 9990 is required. So let me open that too. Let me stop this my master and start this my master. 9990 for us to log into the admin console and to create some servers on this, and because by default there are some servers on this past. Okay, it is done. Let's start this. If this doesn't work, 92 should be work. It doesn't work, and there is some other way. We need to make this out. And if this is an error, then it should be said that. See, there is. I think 9990 is important here. So register the remote slave host slave 1. Okay, this is the new version of the WILDFLY-15 version, of course. Okay, and by default it is trying to start some servers on this. So we see that starting a server 2, starting a server 1. So we are going to remove this stuff. By default it is going to start some servers on this. So what those servers? So I don't want to, I just can't now I'm just trying to stop this slave box. So I don't want to make some servers on it. Let me remove some servers. So where exactly exists domain configuration host slave.xml. This is the file where we are going to use in the slave box. So in this by default there is some servers on it. Let's remove that. It is not required around some. I can see that. So server 1 and server 2. So we need one server that we are going to create from the admin console in simple way. So I'm going to remove servers. So I removed all the servers inside the slave box. So as master doesn't have any servers and the slave also doesn't have any servers, so I removed it manually from the admin. So from this XML I removed it. We can do that from the admin console to that, but I will going to show this how to creation from the admin console. So when it registered, so it is unregistered, we stopped it already, so it is going to register now. Yeah, so it is registered now, the slave 1 exactly. Okay, so now there is nothing going to start in this box. So now here it is. So as part of our diagram, so master we started, just nothing right now, just master is and slave is started, and just a slave is connected to the master. That's all we done, nothing else more we done it. So what we have to do, so we need to create a one group G1 and inside the master, and we need to make it that is belongs to HA profile. Okay, so how to do that? So let me open this 102 is this is the master, and 9990, make sure this should be opened out of the box, and we created a one user jboss admin, and password is something I give it. So this is a admin console. Let's go to this configurations. So here we have profiles. So we have a couple of profiles, but see that there is a new no, interface look like no, 15th. So here is a runtime. So in this runtime we have a server groups. Click on, there are some by default it is there. No, so we are not going to use any of this, but let me remove that. Let's destroy this too. And let's destroy this. So here we have a one name is a master, one name is a slave one. So and by default we have some groups, the main server group and other server groups too. So that's what we need to remove that stuff. So this is one master and one slave box. So here let's see that. Okay, so this is I'm going to kill it. If you want to kill the server group, okay, I think we need to put the configuration. So let's see that. Interfaces, okay, this is not required, so make sure it should be an option over here. View, main server view, reset, edit. Okay, so this is no structure probably. Okay, so here we're not going to touch this obviously, so we are going to create one new group. So that is a G1, so don't forget about this existing one, so that we can delete out. So this is, I created the first G1 group from the master admin console, and this is going to be a HA profile, and make sure HA sockets and HA sockets, add it. So we created one group, that's done, and host and master. Inside the master I'm going to create a one server, so that is called a name will be, we made it as a server 1 as part of our diagram. So here it is. So we created a group and that we made it as a HA profile. The group is ready. Now while I'm trying to create the server 1, I will point into the G1 group. How to do that? This is my server 1 I'm creating in the master, that's important, and that is belongs to G1 group. And so these okay, this is not required, you can make it as a star. And these two socket binding group, HA sockets, that's cool, because this is belongs to, this server is belongs to HA profile, so it is going to be HA socket. So 0 is a port offset, so by default is the first server. So let's add this much. That's cool. Server 1 is there. Let's start. So first we will going to no, just made it one single server. Okay, then we will going to look into another server, but this doesn't matter where it is. But firstly we see that from the master, the server 1 is going to connect to this load balance program. So the server 1 is created and the group is created, the group belongs to HA profile. So then where is our configurations exactly now? So the configurations, what exactly? So HA profile, we need to add the load balancer IP and the port. So that one, so that we need to do it from the master admin console. So you can do it from the CLI the same way how we done in the standalone mode. So I am into this master CLI, so just connected to the CLI, connect controller. So this is my master IP address and this is the port. Okay, so here we are connected. So now the changes should be how we done in standard socket. So make sure at this moment we have a HA profile, so our configurations are in HA profile, nowhere else. So let's see that. Socket binding is equal to, so here we have these many sockets. So our sockets right now is a HA sockets only. So because our servers are belongs to HA groups, HA profiles, the group is belongs to HA profiles, so that's why. So my server is belongs to HA, so I need to do the configuration changes inside HA. So remote is equal to LB1, and here I'm going to add this host is equal to host is equal to 192.168.56.101 is IP of the load balancer, and the port is equal to HTTP is 800. That's it. So it is done, and what else is required? There is one more inside the mod cluster. So where make sure subsystem. So before going to subsystem, first which subsystem, where that exactly exists. So profile is equal to which profile. So we have to execute this second step. So where in a HA profile. So we need to first go to the HA profile, then go to the subsystem, then go to the mod cluster exactly. So mod cluster proxy is equal to default, right attribute name is equal to proxies. So is that proxies. So this is important. So we need to just only the before what profile it is. That's it. And here socket binding is HA socket. So here clearly indicating these two are exactly modified inside the HA profile only, because our server belongs to that. So proxies is equal to the LB1. That's it. So let's close this. Done. We done the configuration changes on this. This is Control C. If you see that the configuration changes exactly inside the master, how it look like. So go to this configuration file. APT WILDFLY domain configuration. So here we have a domain.xml file. I open. So here the configurations, if we go at the end, go to at the end of the file. So let's see the socket bindings are all exactly at the end. So if you see here, there is load balancer sockets, full HA sockets. So if we go in the standalone socket, HA socket. Now our configuration should be inside HA socket. So if you see exactly over here, so our configurations are outbound socket. So we done this is in HA, exactly in HA only. So similarly, here HA profile is also having a mod cluster. There we have added that proxies one. So, but exactly which server our server belongs to which profile, there only we need to do the changes. That's it. So this is done. I just close this. Of course, master is started and the slave is already started, but the server is not yet started. So let's start that server, and this is the server, and start this. So this is a better diagram. So when you do the configuration, server groups, topology, topology. So it will make you a better picture. So inside the master G1 group, I just created a server 1, and that is now going to start now. And we are not going to use these profiles anyhow. So server 1 is going to get start, and if you see here, inside the master, remember the server 1 is exactly inside the master, and there is something problem seems to be info mode server 1 finished with an exit status of 1. There is some problem, it is coming, so it is not going to start this server 1. See, that's unregistered, but I'm trying to start it, but there is a problem. So this problem could be interfaces section problem, because I choose a host master.xml that doesn't have any servers by default on it. So I'm trying to create one server on it. So remote connection server WILDFLY server. Okay, that's a cool. So we will keep this at, and what we will do it. So we will try to make it one more server inside the slave box and see that. We will come to that where with the host. So this is the slave 1 box. I am trying to make it one more server called server 2, and this is also be which group, G1, and the socket bindings should be okay. This is star, and this is also be a star data, and this is the first server. Add it. So server 2 done, and I'm trying to start the server start. So this moment, let's see that whether this is going to start or not inside the slave box. Let's see that this is going to start successfully or not. It's because we've done the same process how we made it in the master, but I think here it will going to work. Let's see that registering server 2. So once this is started successfully, so that is going to connect into the load balancer. So because we have not done any changes, make sure 8009 port is already, see there is the server 2 is connected automatically. So here prior to this, there is small thing you need to do. We done it already in the standalone mode. So in this 103 box, we enabled AJP port. That's the important point that we are not done right now, because we already done as part of standalone mode. In this box, 8009 port is enabled. So that's 8009 is the AJP of the server 2 by default. That's cool. So it's a registered server 2. It's a cool. Everything is working fantastic. Whereas the master one, it doesn't work. The reason behind is, so let's go in and see that some changes, how it look like. If you see that, let's do some copy paste some stuff from the slave to the master, because see that domain and configurations. So host to slave.xml is this is the slave box. If you see in the slave, there is some interfaces. See there, management interface and public interface are exist, whereas master is this 2. Let's see host master.xml. If I read this, we have see there is only one interface out there, so that's a problem. Let's copy this public interface from here, copy, and where is that yep. So I'm just trying to copy this, so inside exactly, so interface section, paste it. So make sure this is belongs to 102. So we need to add in an interface. If sometime it is going to ask you that per private and unsecured 2. So let's see that if it is throw an error, we will see this. So I'm going to stop this master and I'm going to stop this slave box. So let's start freshly now. I'll just start this my master first. Let's see if any error. If this is started successfully, so here the load balancer is going to receive this server from the master. Server 1 should get registered if it is started successfully. Let's see this much. Now starting the server 1. I think registering server 2. Yeah, this moment I think there is no error. That's the interface problem. Restart. Here we going to see there is some stuff that we started. Unregistering server 1. Wow. Still we have a problem on this. Okay, passive on demand. It's okay. So let me go and check again. So the servers is not getting registered in this. Master is not going to be let me check this configurations or else so let's start my slave 2. So let's see that server 1 what is the problem. So host in the inside the master we created a server 1 g1 group status is stopped. Let me see that view what is the problem in this configurations. So this is the master g1 group auto start true. I think I should not give I think we given some wrong sockets, so make sure. So I think she should not give this. So some sockets should be star. Okay, so we're going to not touch because this is belongs to G1 group. G1 is already belongs to HA socket, so that we're going to take care of about it. So we're not going to explicitly configure this. I think that's the mistake I'm done. Socket binding default. This is also just to give a star. Okay, so let's save this stuff. Okay, and go back. So I think that's only the problem. So inside the master server 1, let's start this moment. Start it. So like the slave in the slave. So how it look like? Let's see this. The master is here. So registering server 1, and let's open admin console. The slave to server 2 also should be something like this. There, we given everything is we're not selected anything over here. So that's the. So if running the time, please check the log file. So that's cool. Socket binding. Server 1. Master. Normal running. Suspend state is running. So is there any problem with the master? Okay, registering. And here server 2 is registering. Let's see here. So one is in from the master. See that this is the master. This is the master, and the server 1 is registered. And from the slave 1 box, server 2 is registered into this. This is important. So both getting registered to the load balancer. So now if we access the first request or something, it will go to this. This console is for server 1 master, and this console is for server 2 for the slave mission. So but we are not yet deployed anything on this case, but make sure we need to get deployed. So let's do the deployments. So to do the deployments, so to do the deployments, make sure I need a WAR file. Just a second. Cool. So I have one WAR file on this. So how do you do that? So go to the deployments, server group. So G1 is the server. So where here I have 2 servers on this. So I'm going to add it onto here. So upload the new deployments. So just I'm going to add this pictures, music, so WAR files, testing that WAR file, the same WAR file, the next testing. So starting deployments, it is going to give the deployments on both servers, I guess. So I just let me enable this. So it should get deployed in the both server 1 and the server 2. So wait for some time. If this gets deployed successfully, and make sure in the same slave box and the master box you need to enable 8009 port, because we have two servers. If you make one more server in with the same box, make sure that port you have to take care of it. So exactly what port you are listening on 8009, that you need to enable it. So it is taking some time to, let's see this runtime view, how it look like, topology. Okay, this is about the heap monitoring hosts server groups. Great view. See there it is inside the master. We have inside the slave we have one group. So but deployments are taking time. The deployment was stopped. Enable it. What happened? Runtime information gathered with the server. Okay, there is some problems. Could be okay. So we will see that what exactly the problem. And see there is a content is added and it is not done the deployment. So how to view the logs first of all? So in the domain mode, so just inside the domain, so inside the domain we have a servers. So because I'm trying to check this master, so inside the servers we have a server 1 created one. So inside this is a log file. So there it is, we have a server.log file. Just try to open this. So see, there is a possibility of any errors. Stop deployment on the status. There is some problems over here. Where is the problem? Any errors on this case? Info error. You see there is roll back the status. Hijab. So any errors over here, you can monitor this. Okay. So if we search for errors, okay, subsystem JGroups and UDP are not available. Great. Capabilities required to resource. Resource JGroups. So what next? Roll back. Deployment is rolled back. So subsystem status TCP MP are not available. That's interesting. And let's go and see that any configurations problem in this domain configurations domain.xml file. So profile. So I'm searching for the profile. So HA profile. So where we are exactly the HA profile. So inside HA we have J groups. So it is pointing into the UTP and ping protocols. That's so cool. It's look all right. And let me stop this one more time. So because I am trying to show you the session replication stuff, or because the cluster part also we are not going to worry anything, because we have already enabled the required ports as part of this UDP clustering. So I'm going to show you this in the domain mode itself. So the clustering also should be done. So that's the important point as part of this integration with Undertow. So then that will make sense. Okay, starting server. Let's see if it is any errors. Let us start this. So domain mode servers, server 1 log server. So this is my master level. I'm trying to inspect this log exactly server 1 what exactly it is giving out. Okay, this is done. Master is done. Server 1 started. Server 2 is already started. That's cool. Let me one more time do this. So we are worrying about the deployments. So what may be the problem? We can monitor from here exactly. This is the log. So if any problem to unit deployment, we can monitor from here. Deployments, server groups, G1. We have a testing.war file. Stop is the status. Enable this. And started deployment. Okay. warning info. So any other we need to worry about it. Okay, there is a stop deployment, so clearly indicating there is a stop deployment. So there is a very simple WAR file. There is a single error. Whole registering deploy this context, and immediately it is getting unregistered this context too. See that deployment testing warfile roll back with some message. Okay, let's go with some other warfile. That might be any problem in this warfile. Just I'm trying to remove this. So let me do that from the CLI. There might be any problem with let me do that CLI just quickly. So we have already in this we have already warfiles on there. Warfiles. Here we have a couple of warfiles. So this from here I'm going to do the deployment. So opt wildfly and then bin directory jboss.eli.sh and connect controller 168.56.02 is a master IP address 3.90, and this is the path. Exactly copy this. So because sometimes might be a problem. Deploy. So I'm going to deploy. This is the var paste it, and here let me do some development this moment. Let's see that. So server groups, which group you want to deploy, it will give the possible type. G1 is a group. So let me do this much and see this. Yes, exactly. So what exactly the problem is? Operation, composite operation, rollback, etc. Operation rollback. So this is the default configurations. So there is some problem inside the master server 1 only. The problem exactly server 2 also too. Content removed from the location. Yes, it is uploading and it is not giving exact the problem, whereas I suspect there is some problem. So let me do this configuration changes quickly. So I will shut down this too, I will shut down this too. So here in the master, let me open that because it is not going to give some problems. Domain configuration, host master.xml, just open, make sure we have other interfaces required. So I will copy this and I will gonna paste here. This should be a private interface also be required, private, and then to here paste it, unsecure also be required. This is let me give directly, so not required this values. We are not going to pass anything from this values are here, and this is going to be unsecure. So that's cool, private and unsecure we given it. And let me start this master. So we will going to start only the master, and let's see that. But it is not given exactly error that interface is a problem, but I can suspect this way. This will be the problem it indicates. So it is going to start the server 1. So without starting a slave box, let's do the deployment on this and finish this. Then if this works, and we will proceed for the same configurations inside the slave box too. So this is the registering. So I'm connecting to the CLI, or just let me do this quickly from here. Either it is going to work. Okay, register the server 1. So deployments, server groups, G1, new deployments. So testing.wildfly, next finish, close this, enable this. Any error at this moment? Yeah, this time is successful. So that means the problem here is with an interface section. Exactly. So this is done. Let's start the slave box too. I think we need to do the modifications first inside the slave box. Just a second. So it is only the problem domain configuration, host So wherever when you go with this, so you need to make sure you should be modify the sections of these interfaces. The communication protocols are very much important. So then copy these three interfaces, copy here, and I will paste it over here too. So here one is a public and one is a private. That's it. So just remove this much. Private interface. And here it is unsecure is the one interface. So that's supposed to be there by default. Unsecure is the one interface. So that's cool. Now we can just start the slave box. So this is the slave box having the server 2 is already pointed to G1 group, and it should going to get deployed automatically here too. So once you get deployed successfully, and now you see this is supposed to get clustered, so that's an important point. So if you see the logs exactly, so let me open up any one of the server log domain. Server 2 log tail minus of server log. Okay, this is a server 2 log. There it is. Yep. So that's cool. Okay, so both are getting clustered. No, both are deployed successfully. Now if you access and see that, now I'm going to access from here. So this is my 101 is the load balancer, HTTP 8080, and now testing. So now let's see that where this request will go, whether server 1 or server 2. Admin 1 2 3 submit. So let's see that where the request is come. So request is not came to here. JBoss2 is my master. So I think I need to open that log one more time. 68 5702. Domain servers server 1 logs. So here is successfully logged in. So this is the server 1. Remember, this is server 1. So the request is came to server 1. If I click multiple times, 1 2 3, so all three requests are in the server 1 only. So let's stop the server 1 now. So here we have a server 1 domain and time. So host was server 1 exactly inside the master. So let's stop this. Restart first, we'll stop it. Yes. So server 1 is stopped. It's successfully stopped. Now if you try to access this, what will happen? Click on the profile. 1 2 3. So that means we are able to do this. The session is replicated to server 2 because logout is not happened. Now go and see the log of see that server 2. This is important. So here the log of the server 2. So this is server 2 log. This is errors with about this is stopping cases. So don't worry about that. But here it is. See that it is stopped. The request is came to another server. Even after runtime, when you stop the server 1. The request is came to server 2. That means it is session is replicated to another server. So that's what clearly indicates. So here the session replication is also be done successfully, and UDP, that's important. We done the in UDP mode, and in a standalone mode what ports exactly required. If you see exactly in this is my slave 1 box. So here firewall CMD install. So here is the possibility of the same ports, whatever you've done for the standalone ports. So the same ports is going to use them, master as well as the slave box. This is one time, so we don't have to use the standard mode or domain mode, doesn't matter. Firewall CMD restart. So here also we have a couple of ports. So because of these ports, it is getting clustered and session getting replicated. So this is the end-to-end load balancing with Undertow in the domain mode. And the session replication also we saw that, and we done the clustering. This clustering is happened exactly, you cannot say master to slave. This clustering we done it server 1 to server 2, so server level exactly, because server 1 uses the default ports that we enabled it. So again, if you create one more server inside the master or a slave, make sure it should be exactly the port. That's much is important. The port should be something like this. Domain configurations. So domain.xml, if you open, go to at the end. So the same thing, sockets binding. So we choose HA profile. So here is the HA profile. So here we have the 55200 and 45688 and etc. These are the ports. I am ping ports again. So 45700. So this is the ports we use right now. This is the default. If you change it something like port offset is a 1 or 2, so make sure you should be add exactly into that number to here 457, so 002, or based on your server, next server is a port, what port on it running, so that you need to add it over here. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the session. This is about the full end-to-end clustering on the Undertow in the domain mode. So thank you for watching this video. So we will see you soon again. Thank you.